Hello everyone, welcome to Mastermind. In this video, let us continue the discussion on Vice President. So this will be important part of our Indian polity. In the mains, it will be helpful in a general studies paper 2 and also it will be helpful in prelims. So we were discussing about Vice President's articles which are related to that of Vice President. We saw that there are Article 63 to 73 which is related to that of Vice President. So we have already discussed 3 articles. Let's quickly revise those articles. First article is Article 63. Article 63 says that there shall be Vice President of India. Article 64 says that Vice President is ex officio chairman of Council of States, that is Rajya Sabha. Then what does Article 65 says? Article 65 says when can Vice President act as President? When can Vice President act as President? And we have also seen the conditions under which Vice President acts as President. From here, let us continue with the next articles. Next one is Article 66. Article 66 speaks about election of Vice President. Article 66 speaks about election of Vice President. We'll look at this article and later on we'll see from the book also what is it related to the election of Vice President, because this part is very important, because in this we'll also be having comparisons with that of President. How is this election different than from President, etc. So let us look at the article first. So in this, if I'm writing it as 1, then it is Article 66 subclause 1. So like that, there are 4 subclauses and all of these we'll be looking at. First subclause, Article 66 subclause 1. It says that the Vice President shall be elected by the members of Electoral College. Okay? We'll write only keywords, okay? So that it will be easy for us to remember and revise also. The Vice President shall be elected by members of Electoral College. And this Electoral College consists of both houses of parliament, members of both houses of parliament. I'll write it as members of both member of parliament, that is both houses. In this context, both houses means Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. They are saying that Vice President shall be elected by members of Electoral College and that shall consist of members of both House of Parliament. And this election shall take place by means of a system of proportional representation using single transferable vote. Proportional representation by using single transferable vote. And the voting at such election shall be by secret ballot. Secret ballot. So they are saying single transferable vote, that is they will be having choice. You have to give first priority. All the MPs have to be giving first priority, second priority, third priority, etc. And on that basis only there will be elimination which will be taking place from one round, second round, etc. So on the basis of priority, the votes are also given. Now, this is said in the Article 66 subclause 1. Now, President, like President, Vice President also is not directly elected. That is first point which you have to remember. So, this election is indirect. This election is indirect. What is indirect election? That means people are not going to vote directly, but their representatives are voting. That is MPs are voting. Correct? So it is indirect election, not directly by people but by method of indirect election. This is first keyword which you have to remember. Now he is elected by members of an electoral college which consists of members of both houses of parliament. Both houses of parliament. Now how is it different in case of that of election of president? In case of election of president, the nominated members do not participate. The nominated members do not participate. That we have to understand. Now this electoral college is different from president. How is it different from president? It is different from president in two aspects. That is, it consists of both elected also and nominated members also. Nominated members. Now, what are nominated members? For example, Sachin Tendulkar, Hema Malini, etc. So they are nominated by president as member of parliament. So when president's election happens, the nominated members do not participate in the election of president, whereas when the election to vice president happens, the elected members to participate only, but nominated members will also be participating. Whereas in case of president, only elected participate. Next point, it does not include members of state, not state legislative assemblies. In case of election of vice presidents, state legislative assemblies do not participate. Whereas in case of president, the elected members of state legislative assemblies are also included. So this is very important point for us to remember. First one is, there is no direct election, there is indirect election. There is proper electoral college in which both MPs of both the houses, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, participate. And that election happens by means of proportional representation, by means of single transferable vote with the secret ballot. And how is it different from president? That also we have seen. So this is mentioned in Article 66 subclause 1. Let us move on to subclause 2. Now Article 66 subclause 2. Now what does Article 66 subclause 2 say? Now let us consider ABC. Who will be vice president? Let us consider them that they will be vice president. They are not vice president now. Now ABC might be, let's say, MLA in state assemblies, state legislative assembly, or he may be MP in either Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. They also can participate in the election, right? So now let us say ABC has participated in vice president's election and ABC has won. As soon as ABC wins the election of vice president, he becomes vice president. But his or her seat as MLA or as MP will be vacated. You understood, right? So if the person who wins the election of vice president is either MLA or MP, as soon as they win the election of vice president, their office to that of MLA or MP stands vacated. That itself is said in Article 66 subclause 2. The vice president shall not be a member of either House of Parliament or House of State Legislature of any state. And if a member of either House of Parliament or House of Legislature of any state is elected vice president, he shall be deemed to have vacated his seat in that house on the date deemed to have vacated his seat in that house on the date on which he enters upon office as vice president. That itself is said in the Article 66 subclause 2. So I hope you have understood, because the difference is that in if you are looking at prelims or any other government exams section wherein they are telling polity, they are specifically mentioning about the constitution. Specifically mentioning about the constitution. So we have all these articles in the constitution. So if we are understanding the articles correctly, then we'll be able to answer any question as such. That is mentioned in the book also. It is mentioned in Lakshmikant book also, but they have not given it on the article basis. They have given articles at last, but when they are explaining in paragraph. So we understand the context, but sometimes it will be difficult for us to link it with that of the articles. So in this, what we are doing is we are linking it with the articles and we are learning. So first one, we saw electoral college. Second one, we saw what happens if a member of state legislative assembly or Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha wins election and becomes vice president. At that point of a time, on that date only, their office to MLA or MP stands vacated. I hope you have understood this. Let us move on to Article 66, subclause 3. Article 66, subclause 3. Now, this article says about eligibility criteria. Eligibility criteria, that is, no person shall be eligible for election as vice president unless he is. So it starts in the negative context only, that is, there is a restriction which is mentioned in this article. So no person shall be eligible for election as vice president of India unless he is. Unless he is means, what are the eligibility criteria? First one, they say that they have to be citizen of India. They have to be citizen of India. Second says that they have to have completed at least 35 years of age. 35 years of age. And they should be eligible. They should be qualified for the election as member of Council of States or Rajya Sabha. They should be eligible for that election. They are not telling they have to be the member of Rajya Sabha. They have to be, they need not be member of Rajya Sabha. It is just saying that they have to be eligible to be the member of Rajya Sabha. So these are three most important conditions or eligibility criteria which is given in the Article 66 subclause 3. Now the last subclause, which is Article 66 subclause 4. Now what is this saying? This again extends that eligibility criteria. So this says that a person shall not be eligible for election as vice president. Now it is saying eligibility criteria. Now how can a person who is vice president can be termed as invalid, that it is saying, or not eligible criteria? That is, if they are elected as president and they are holding any office of profit. Office of profit. Now office of profit means that they own a company which is getting favors from, let's say, state government or central government, or if that company is directly related to state government or central government. So that is called as office of profit. That means if they are in government and their company or where they are working also is related to that, then it is not a proper balance. So that is why it is called as office of profit. So this is very, very important concept. So if they are holding any office of profit, they are not eligible. So they are not eligible if they are holding any office of profit under government of India or government of state or any local or other authority which is under control of the governments of India also or of state. So this whole article, that is Article 66, says about proper election of vice president. It also gives the eligibility criteria and also it gives not eligible criteria. So I hope you have understood about the election of vice president. So in the next part, we'll continue with the vice president and we'll discuss more articles and understand even more related to that of vice president.